Let's apply to Portland State University. We're going to start at the Oregon Goes to College website. From the College Info menu tab, select Apply to College. That takes us to a page that has a lot of really great information about what we need to do before we sit down to complete the forms, including a list of documents or other information that we should gather and have ready to go, as well as some tips about how to be successful in sitting down to complete the application forms. I already know where I'm applying. I've gathered all my information. In fact, I've even pulled up anything that I have in the cloud that's going to help me with that application, so I am ready to go. I'm going to scroll down to the table that has a list of all of the colleges in the state and select the Public Universities tab so that I can find the Portland State University link. Before I click that, I'm going to notice that there is an application fee of $52. Now, I need to be prepared to either pay that with a credit card when I submit my application or be ready to immediately follow up with the paperwork necessary to request a fee deferral if I'm eligible for that. Knowing that I'm ready to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click the Portland State University link, and it takes me directly to the university's website and the page that I need to apply. Scrolling down, I find that I need to choose what kind of student I plan to be. That's going to allow the college's website to give me the right information and the right application form. I'm planning to graduate from high school in the spring of 2021 and enroll as a freshman student. I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And that takes me to a page that reminds me of what the admissions requirements are and what I might need to do if I don't meet those requirements. I've read through this. I feel comfortable and confident with it, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the Apply to PSU button. From here, I have one more choice to make about which application I'll be submitting. Now, this page is going to look different depending on what time of year you submit your application. So it's important to just know that when you click a button that says Apply Now, check out that header to make sure that it has the information about the term when you plan to start so that you're clicking on the right application. In this case, again, I'm going to graduate in spring of 2021 and be a college student in the fall of 2021. So I'm going to click that Apply Now button. At a different time of year, this particular application might swap over to the left-hand side. So just be careful to take a look at that header and choose the right one. And finally, I'm at the admissions application page. The first thing I see is some information about what I need to do if I get stuck and need some help. So I know that that's where I can go to get that information. And then I get to choose whether I'm going to log in to continue my application or create an account to get started fresh. What this tells me is that I have the option to come in and start my application, and if I can't finish it in one go, that's no problem. It'll save what I've done, and I can come back and finish it later. Now, it just so happens that I have already created an account, and so I'm going to log in to begin my application. If you haven't yet created an account, no problem. You'll click on this link, and I'll show you what that looks like. You'll need to give them your email address. When you do that, make sure that you're choosing the email that you are using for all of your college materials and that it's an email address that you're going to check regularly, probably at least twice a week. When you add your email there and click on Send Confirmation, you're going to almost immediately receive an email from PSU, and it's going to look like this. It's going to have the subject line PSU account setup confirmation, and in there it will have a confirmation code for you. This is your initial password. You'll want to copy and paste that back into the box that shows up after you click Send Confirmation Email. There'll be another box where you can enter that code. When you do that, it will ask you to create a new password. You'll create your new password and which you'll want to make sure that you make a note of because it will be your password for Portland State for the foreseeable future. And once you do that, it's actually going to bring you right back to this page where you're going to log in to work on your application. So looks like I had already logged in. I thought that I had logged out, but here I am. And if that's not you, you'll enter your email address for your username and your password so that you can get to this page where you have the option to choose the application that you're working on. If you've never been in this page before, you're going to click the Start New Application, but if, like me, you've been here once before, you'll click on the undergraduate application that's in progress, say, yep, that's the one I want, and open the application. And now you can go ahead and get started. On the left-hand side, you're going to find a list of all the different kinds of things, the different pages of the information that they're going to be asking for from you, and you'll just be able to keep an eye on your progress as you go through each page. That will highlight in gray, just like the instructions are here. Make sure you read through those instructions before you click continue. And the first page is the section around personal information, so names and addresses and that sort of thing. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If when you created your account, you did not provide your legal first name, you're going to want to delete the name that shows up here and put in your legal first name. This is one of the things that's going to be automatically entered for you after you've created your account. I did give my legal first name, and that is the name that is on all my legal documents. So it's on my high school transcript, it's on my driver's license if I have one. That's what's going to go here. I also want to include my middle name, my legal last name, again, the one on all my legal documents. If I have a junior or senior or a number after my name, I'm going to include that here. I don't, so I'm going to leave it blank, but if you do, you should include it. And at PSU, if I give them a preferred first name, the one that I prefer that people call me, they're going to use that for all of the literature or communication that they send to me. And so I would prefer that they call me Livy, and I'm going to include that here. Now, I already entered my address before, and you're going to want to do the same thing. Your permanent address is the one that is where you live permanently. So you'll want to enter that information there and make sure that you are providing your correct address. And then there's going to be a button that says you can use the same one for your mailing address. And when you click that, it'll automatically fill for you. Or if you have a different place where you want mail to come, you'll enter that there as well. Your email address is going to be automatically completed because that is what you use to create your account, and then you get to phone numbers. Now, it just so happens that my primary phone number, the one that I want them to use the most, is also a cell phone, but it's the one I want them to use, so I'm going to enter that there. I don't have an additional number, so I'll leave that blank. Birth date, you can go ahead and use the drop-down menu to find that. Be sure to choose your birth year, and then your birth country. So I was born in the United States, and I'm going to scroll down and find that. You'll notice that it then popped up a state that didn't used to be there. But I will go ahead and fill in the city and state. So choose Oregon from the drop-down menu. And now they're asking about what languages I speak at home, or what language I speak at home. For me, that's English, so I'm going to find that from the drop-down menu. But if you speak a different language at home, you'll want to choose that and enter it here. Now, information about citizenship. It's important to know that you can attend Portland State even if you are not a U.S. citizen. No problem. And in fact, you may be eligible for tuition equity or in-state tuition rates. That said, you do need to provide your citizenship information regardless of where you're a citizen of, and you need to choose the correct one. So if you are not a U.S. citizen, don't choose U.S. citizen, choose the country from which you're a citizen, even if you're planning to apply for tuition equity. In my case, I was born in the United States and am a United States citizen, so I'm going to scroll all the way down to the U's and choose that one more time. If I had, and you'll notice that a pop-up came, we'll talk about that in a moment. If I was a citizen of more than one country, I would choose that other country here. I'm not, so I won't, but if you have multiple or dual citizenship, you can go ahead and choose the next country. The Social Security box popped up here. Now, If I am applying for federal aid, I am required to provide my Social Security number, and doing it now is much easier than doing it later. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose that. You'll notice that that box didn't pop up until I chose United States. So if you chose a different citizenship, different country for citizenship, that box would not pop up for you and you wouldn't be asked to provide that information. Questions about race and ethnicity are optional. I'm not required to respond to them. I'm going to choose to do so. One of the reasons that I'm asked to do that is because there are requests for data around that from sort of federal government and other folks. But it also might give the college an opportunity to let me know if there are any special programs that I might be eligible for. So I can choose to answer this or not. I'm going to choose to and say, yes, I'm Hispanic or Latino, and I'm also going to choose race here. Go ahead and click continue. Some more opportunities to share some biographical information. So the first question is about legal sex and gender. Now this is important, and you can read a little bit more about this if you're interested. You do need to choose your legal sex designation. This is what's on your birth certificate. This is a requirement of the federal government if you're applying for federal financial aid, and it must match what's on your birth certificate to be eligible for federal aid. However, through Oregon laws and Portland State University wanting to honor your gender identity, you may select a gender identity that does or does not match your legal sex designation. You'll want to choose the identity that is how you identify. And so you can do that here. You can leave it blank if you prefer. I will choose here. And same with sexual orientation. This is a question that is not required, but you should feel free to share that if you would like. This is also another opportunity, as with the race and ethnicity question, for the college to reach out and provide you with some information about resources or opportunities that might be available to you. Now there's some questions about your relationship with Portland State University. Have you ever applied? Nope, I haven't. I've also never taken any classes. And because I've never applied or taken any other classes, I've never used any other names to apply. You'll want to answer those questions honestly for you. This question about the armed services, I have no affiliation with the U.S. military, and so I'm going to say no. But if you happen to serve or have served, you can go ahead and click yes. So again, choose the accurate answer for you and click continue. And you can see now that we've made our way through and we're into the residency details. And these are questions that are going to help PSU determine whether or not we're eligible for in-state tuition, whether we're Oregon residents allowed to pay in-state tuition. And the first question is about who provided at least 50% of my financial support. And for me, that was my parents or guardians, and they did claim me as a dependent. So I'll go ahead and say yes. And in my case, yes, my parents have lived in Oregon for the past year. And one of the questions I ask is, when did they move here? Now, this may not be something that I know automatically, and so I am going to go to my It's a Plan college workbook, where I have been keeping information that I'm going to need for my applications, and look that up. So I've filled this out ahead of time to make sure that I'm ready to go. And in the applications tab, I have information about residency, one of which is about the date of my most recent continuous presence in Oregon, as well as my parents. When did they move here? My parents moved here in May of 1998. I have that from filling this out before in preparation of my application, and I can go ahead and put that back here. Again, these questions are all about helping to determine whether or not I'm eligible for in-state tuition. Question about whether or not my parent or guardian was employed, the answer is yes, and then they want to know where they were employed. And again, that's information that I've already recorded in my workbook, so that if I don't remember it off the top of my head, I could just come right over here and find it. And so now I have that information as well. I've recorded it here, and I can enter it in my application. Scroll all the way down to Oregon again. Now they want to know about when my parents filed their tax returns and which state they filed them from. And wouldn't you know, that's also in my college workbook. Taxes were filed in 2018, and this is not correct. Really, it was 19. So I'm going to make that change here. I know that because we haven't finished 2020 yet. So fix that and enter the information in my application. So most recently they filed in 2019, and that was in Oregon. And then before that in 2018, also in Oregon. My parents did not enter military service from Oregon, so I'm going to say no, but if yours did, you'll want to say yes. And nor is my parent or guardian on active duty stationed in Oregon. So again, we'll say no, but for you, you would say yes, if that was true for you. Whew, made it through residency questions, and we're on to information about our family. And this is an opportunity to give Portland State an opportunity to share some information with other members of our family or people who are helping us through this process. And I can choose to enter some information here or not. But I do think that I would like for my mom to have some information about this process. And so I'm going to add her name here so that she is getting some information from the university. And then here's a list of some other people who you may want to make sure is getting that information. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my mother's information here very quickly. And they're interested in how much education has my mom received. And she did not graduate from college. She attended for a little while, but she didn't graduate. So I'm going to choose that here. But for you, you would want to choose the correct information about the person that you're entering. And I do live with my mom, so I'll go ahead and say yes. Her mailing address is the same as mine. And, so again, the United States, and entering the address there, same as mine. And did you see that trick I just used? I clicked the O key 3 times to get to Oregon so that I didn't have to scroll all the way through. Sometimes I do that when I'm quick on the keys. And I don't have my mom's email address, so I'm not going to provide it, but I am going to give her phone number and save that. And so here they don't like the way that I've written the address. I know that it's correct, so I'm going to skip the validation and they will accept it and move on. Okay. I don't have anyone else that I want to add, so I will click continue. But if you have additional people that you want to get to receive information from PSU, you can go ahead and click add new, and you'll go through that process for as many people as you would like to include there. I don't have that. I will continue. The education history is all about where I went to high school, and if I have any college classes in my portfolio. So I am required to report all institutions I've attended. So I want to make sure that anywhere where I have gone to school since I started high school, that is going to be included here. And so let's just go ahead and click add institution and get started. So I attend Corvallis High School. Now keep a note, there are 2 different Corvallis high schools in the country. So that may be true for your school as well, that there's more than one high school with the same name. Make sure that you're choosing the one that is in your city and state so that things don't get messed up. So here, I'm going to choose the one in Oregon. And I need to choose the state here as well. And I've been attending since I started high school. And that was in September of 2017. will finish in June of 2021, and I studied high school. This question about degree, this is degree awarded or expected. And so even though I haven't yet received my high school diploma, I do expect to get it from this school, so I'm going to choose that. And the GPA that I have earned is a 3.2 on a scale of 4.0. You'll fill that in for yourself, and you can get that information, if you don't know it off the top of your head, from your high school transcript. And yes, at my high school, the primary language of instruction is English, and I'll click Save. Now, I haven't attended any other high school, so I'm going to not add another one. I also haven't attended any colleges, and so I'm not going to add another institution. But if you have transferred high schools or if you've attended colleges and earned credit, you'll definitely want to click Add Institution here so that you can add all of those institutions that you've attended. This is a question asking me about what classes am I taking in my senior year of high school. And, well, it's asking what the highest level of classes that I've taken are. And for me, those are the classes that I'm taking in my senior year of high school, and that's probably true for you as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and add the courses for both language arts and mathematics. And I started this course, or we'll start this course in September of 2020, and it is English 4. And then I also am supposed to add my math, and I'm taking that this year as well, and it is pre-calculus. And go ahead and save. And it looks like they're only asking for English language arts and mathematics, and so I am done and don't need to add any additional. And I have completed 0 college credits, but you'll want to choose the one that is correct for you. And I will graduate from a high school in the United States, and it will be after 1997. Now they're asking me about the kind of classes that I've taken. This is a question about my GPA, and it is basically asking me to confirm what I have provided before. I mentioned in the previous page that my GPA is a 3.2, and it's asking if my GPA is a 3.2 or higher, and the answer is yes. If it was not, I would say no. And now it's wanting to know how many that these are questions about meeting the academic requirements. And so, have I taken 4 years of English? Yes. If you don't remember this, you can pull out your transcript and you can look at your transcript and find out what classes you've taken in case you don't remember. But for me, I remember, and so I'm going to go ahead and say yes to each of these questions about my English, math, and science and the number of years I've taken those. And I did not take any classes that were modified coursework. If you have, you'll want to say yes. So just answer these questions honestly for yourself and click continue. Now they're asking about when do I want to start? So this is the exciting part. When do I want to be a college student? I plan to start in the fall of 2021, and I intend to be a full-time student, but if you're choosing to start as a part-time student, you'll say no. And I am not applying for a fully online program. I'm hoping that I'll be able to attend in person, and so I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I mean no. No, I'm not. And my intended major. Now, I should be able to choose that I'm undecided, and at this point, I really don't know what I want to study. I'm kind of interested in social science, and so I could choose that, or I could choose undecided, and it's perfectly acceptable to do so. But I'm going to go ahead and say social science. That's something I'm interested in, and I think I might like to major in it. That's what I'm most interested in studying. I don't necessarily have an intended minor, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank, but if you've got another interest, you could include that here. And I don't plan to participate in any pre-professional programs, but you might. So you'll want to take a look at what the options are and select those if that is what you're interested in. This is an opportunity to let them know if I'm planning to participate in co-admissions. That is being co-admitted or simultaneously admitted to both Portland State and some of Oregon's community colleges for dual enrollment. And if that's you, you'll definitely want to say yes here so that they can get you the correct information and ask the right questions. That's not true for me, so I'm going to say no and continue. And I'm now on to test scores. Now, at Portland State University, I'm not required to submit test scores to apply to the university, and I haven't taken those test scores. I haven't had the opportunity to do so yet, and I'm not planning to. I don't have to, so I'm not planning to. Therefore, I won't add any scores here. If you have taken any of the admissions tests or an AP or IB exam, you'll definitely want to include that there, and we can take a look to see what that's going to look like. It looks like you'll be able to choose the type of test it is, the date, and yes, it'll pop up to ask you the score. And so if you chose the ACT, you would get that, and on the SAT, it'll ask you for sub-scores as well. Again, I don't have those, and so I'm going to click cancel, and I'm just going to continue without adding any test information. Now they're interested in knowing what kinds of activities I've been involved in. And so I'm going to go ahead and complete this, and each time I have a new one, I'm going to click Add New. And wouldn't you know it, I have a list of my activities here on my activities chart, so I don't have to keep those in my mind. I've already filled this out and am ready to add that in. And so the first one, it looks like played volleyball, and I'm going to add a new one. They're going to ask me what type of activity it is. We're talking about volleyball. That was varsity. It was the volleyball team. I was a member, and they want a brief description, and I have that here. So I actually can just come in and copy that and paste it in here. I already said I was a member, so we'll just do that. Ask how many hours per week. It looks like 5 hours a week, 10. And I don't plan to play in college, so I'm going to leave that blank. Press save, and now I can do the next one. So I would add a new one, and I would go back to this page, and I would continue on until I had finished each of those, adding in, copying the description, adding it in, and continuing on. For the interest of time, I'm not going to do that, but you're going to do that for every activity that you have, and click continue. This is wondering whether or not I'm interested in being considered for the Honors College, and so I can make that choice or not. I'm going to say no, but you are certainly welcome to say yes if you're interested in the Honors College. Before you do that, take a look to see, do a little bit of research and make a decision about that before you submit your application. But you are required to answer this question, so I'm going to answer that. I'm going to say no. If you were to say yes, there are some essays that you'll need to answer, and this is one of the reasons that you should do some research on this ahead of time so that you can read through those essay prompts, write your essays ahead of time, and have them available ready to copy and paste. So if that was the case, for example, I have all of my essays available as in the cloud, and I could come over to my drive and pull that up, pull up an essay, copy it, and paste it into the box here. So you'll want to make sure that you're prepared for that before you start your application. However, I've said no, so I don't have essays to complete, and I will click continue. Okay, now on to the page about saying that everything that I've entered is complete and accurate, and I will type my full legal name here and confirm that everything I've said is true. And now I have the option to submit my application fee or request a fee deferral. Before I do that, I'm going to click on the review button here, and the review is basically just saying, Yes, I'm ready to submit it. And so I may want to go back and click into each of these sections just to make sure that it is all entirely accurate before I click submit. But getting into the application fee, there's some information here about whether or not you might qualify for the fee deferral. You'll want to read through these. If you think that you qualify, you'll choose the accurate statements that are for you. Once you have gone through that process, you will then be ready to submit your application, and you'll be on this review page and click Submit Application. You've applied to Portland State. Congratulations.